August 1179. The medieval warrior monks, known as the Knights Templar, protect Jerusalem and the Holy Land for more than 50 years.
They were in constant prayer, mass, but at the same time, they were involved in polishing their armor and, sharpening their swords.
A large part of the Templars' power comes from their popularity.
I always liken the Templars to being something like a global corporation.
Now their legacy comes crashing down as Muslim armies siege the Templar fortress at Jacob's Ford.
It's a violence that you would find also on modern battlefields today.
You can see the signs of the earth completely black.
It's like close combat. You can see the eyes, the face, the features of the person that is next to you.
After everybody was killed and all the pigs were killed, they burned the whole place down.
The bloody defeat triggers a tragic chain of events, driving the Templars out of the Holy Land forever. But their downfall does not end there. Trials and torture await them in Europe, and the order of warrior monks is mysteriously wiped out. All that remains is a broken timeline, pieced together in popular fiction and conspiracy theories more than 8 centuries later. The fall of the Templars is about to begin. "100 miles north of Jerusalem, Dr. Ronnie Ellenblum leads a team of archaeologists investigating the remains of a 12th century Knights Templar castle. Using medieval texts as a guide, they search for evidence of a violent 6-day siege.
Since this site is very well documented, extremely well documented, we know that it started from October 1178 to August 1179. We were interested in what can be achieved within 11 months.
According to Muslim chronicles, the Templars, working alongside Jerusalem's King Baldwin IV, begin construction of a massive military installation at a Jordan River crossing known as Jacob's Ford. But the construction site is dangerously close to Damascus, the capital of the Muslim kingdom. It breaks a fragile ceasefire, and despite the Muslim leader Saladin's attempts at diplomacy, the Templars show no sign of stopping.
This was going to be the door against which Saladin would be stopped.
Saladin is forced to go to war. He assembles a massive army from all corners of the Muslim kingdom and confronts the Templars at their unfinished fortress. For 3 long days, Muslim forces have attempted to scale the perimeter. Now, Saladin has sent his forces underground, digging tunnels beneath the castle foundations and setting massive fires in an effort to collapse the walls. Dr. Ronnie Ellenblum believes those miners made their entrance here, beneath the northeast corner of the castle.
We followed the walls of the castle, and the only part of the castle where the walls are missing is the northeastern part of the castle. We excavated from within, and we discovered, we exhumed a huge amount of ashes and of coal and everything, all the remains of a big fire that was here. We believe that this is the place where the castle began to be taken.
For more than 2 days, the fires rage, but the walls remain intact. The tunnel is not wide enough.
The idea was to create a mine and to set the wooden beams inside the mine ablaze And then, when everything is on fire, the wall will collapse.
Saladin offers a gold coin to each soldier who will gather water from the Jordan River to extinguish the blaze, giving underminers a chance to dig even deeper beneath the castle walls. On the archaeology site, Ronnie Ellenblum's team has been digging for 4 days. They've already discovered signs of a fight, uncovering animal remains and arrowheads just a few feet below ground. But they still haven't found what they came here for: clues to the human slaughter, the remains of more than 800 Templar and Crusader soldiers killed here. Now, in their final day of excavations, the team digs into a mysterious layer of blackened soil.
You can see over here, there's like an area which was burned. You can see the signs of the earth completely black. Charcoal, pieces of burn.
The team believes they have now reached ground zero, and as they sift through the charred soil, they discover a perfectly shaped ivory cube. Closer inspection confirms it is actually an incredibly preserved medieval playing die. And close by, Robert Kuhl of the Israel Antiquities Authority discovers a medieval coin to add to the others he's found on the site. At the authorities' headquarters outside Jerusalem, each coin from Jacob's Ford is carefully preserved, cataloged, and conserved.
Yeah, we found over 160 coins. This is part of it. One moment. Let me show you more. The fact that we discovered money there shows that the catastrophe was sudden. It was like I could compare it to Pompeii. Everything is there. It's just it's like a picture in time, which is like frozen. And so the fact that we found the coins doesn't surprise me. For me, it's like a bonus. It's fantastic, but it's really like it shows how dramatic the end of the castle was and how sudden it all happened.
As the castle walls begin to fall, the real battle now begins. The Knights' rise to power throughout Europe and the Holy Land has peaked. The Templars' new destiny begins here, with 24 hours of bloodshed at Jacob's Ford. On the site of the 12th century Templar castle at Jacob's Ford, Ronnie Ellenblum's team is in the 5th and final day of excavations. They uncover animal remains and medieval relics of the battle. But they still search for actual human remains, proof of the massacre that takes place here.
Now we are trying to understand, for example, if those people, maybe some of the Crusaders were killed during the war. In several cases, we are pretty sure that they were executed in the hours following the surrender of the castle. If people were executed, in which way?
For 5 long days, Muslim forces attempt to penetrate the Templar fortress at Jacob's Ford. They tunnel beneath the castle walls and set raging blazes, hoping to break through the Templar stronghold. By day 6, with Crusader reinforcements closing in, the fires finally cause the castle to crumble. The Templars, unstoppable just months earlier, have nowhere left to hide. They are at the mercy of Saladin's Muslim army. It's a bloodbath.
The Muslim armies poured into the castle, killing many of the people, slaughtering many of the people.
It's a violence that you would find also in modern battlefields today. It's like close combat. You can see the eyes, the face, the features of the person that is next to you. Swords, mace heads, arrowheads, spears. That's the kind of type of close combat battle that you were looking at within the grounds of the fortress.
As Crusader reinforcements approach the castle, they see smoke on the horizon and go no further. For reasons we may never know, they turn back.
A fortress, no matter how well it's built or how well the garrison within is trained, eventually they depend on reinforcement from the outside. If nobody comes to your rescue, the fortress will fall.
Templars are taken prisoner, tortured, and executed. For many Templars, this is their last stand. A crucial moment in Crusader history that will travel through time. And now, 800 years later, with just hours left in their investigation, Ronnie Ellenblum and team make the discovery they've been waiting for.
See, we're starting to find the beginning of the arm and the scapula. So apparently we have a whole individual here. What we're doing right now is, first of all, as you can see, he's laying pretty straight with his face up, and he was on top of him. There was a thick layer of fill, a very clear and thick layer of fill, and as you can see, he's got some bones. This bone is laying right down on his collarbone, so it was all dumped on him rather thickly. And actually, if you can see the skull, you can see he had a huge rock right on top of his skull, directly on his skull.
After hours of tedious, painstaking work, the desert sun shines on the fallen warrior for the first time in 8 centuries.
We had discussion about the coexistence of dead pigs and dead bodies of Crusaders, and we think that the coexistence is not incidental. I mean, it's kind of humiliation of
With the skeleton uncovered, Ronnie's team begins the exhumation process, preparing to transport the remains to a lab outside Jerusalem for analysis. But just when they think their day is finished, the medieval battle site reveals another incredible discovery. A second skeleton reaches out from the rubble.
His left arm is curled and his fingers are curled.
For the team, it is an incredible find, supporting the stories of the mass human slaughter in August 1179. But the excavation of this skeleton may have to wait. Ronnie and his team are running out of time.
too many skeletons on the limited resources. You see, in the morning we didn't even expect there would be anything here. And suddenly there are too many. Even to excavate one skeleton properly, it takes time and patience.
It may be too late. This is one of the toughest calls Ronnie Ellenblum's ever had to make. Ronnie Ellenblum's team is in the final day of excavating the battle site at Jacob's Ford. They uncover animal remains, relics from the battle, and a perfectly preserved human skeleton. But as they excavate the remains, they discover a second skeleton, lying beneath 8 centuries of rubble. Now, Ellen Bloom needs to decide if they have the time and resources for a second excavation.
It's a dilemma that we always have, especially when you are going to finish a dig. And the last day you discovered a new individual.
Finally, Ronnie makes the call. They will remove skeleton number 1, his comrade, and further evidence of a mass Templar burial ground must wait for a future excavation.
So we may very well have to take out these fingers during this season so we could excavate all of human number 1 here, and we'll just pack them up, cover the rest, and we'll know exactly how the arm and the forearm and the fingers of this individual were placed.
With the exhumation about to begin, Ronnie Ellen Bloom begins to put flesh on the bones of this knight's life story.
We know that this gentleman was probably a Templar. He lived here. He probably didn't have a family because he was a Knight Templar. Probably had relatives somewhere, either in Palestine or in Europe. We didn't know exactly what happened to him. He probably disappeared. He was thrown here by people who hated him. Putting him, throwing him within a den of impure animals. And now we come, Israelis, Jewish, secular, excavating very carefully, studying every detail, trying to find out what happened to him, what killed him.
The team must quickly and delicately prepare the skeleton to be transported. One wrong move, and the centuries-old bone disintegrates into dust. With the skeleton secure, the team packs up the site. Ellen Bloom and team have collected arrowheads, animal remains, and skeletons, confirming the stories of the battle recorded by medieval texts.
I can assure you that he did not die of heart attack. He was killed, absolutely killed.
At Jacob's Ford, the battle is over. Saladin and his men have destroyed the castle and stopped the Templars' advance. They stuff hundreds of corpses down a well, contaminating the water supply. Disease and death are everywhere. At the team's lab west of Jerusalem, all the artifacts from the digs at Jacob's Ford are cataloged and preserved. Analysis so far paints a brutal picture.
There's a huge wound, okay, which is associated with this. Just a piece of the cranium just fell off and detached. And there's another cut here, which went through the cranium, through the skull, full thickness, here. So here you have a missing piece, here, and there's a cut here. What they used to do, they used to chop, 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 and really continue hitting until they could actually see that the person was down. But this is definitely overkill.
Dr. Lev Tovchata is just beginning to analyze this year's prize discovery. This victim of the battle was likely a Crusader, perhaps even a Templar, killed August 29, 1179. Her task is to examine the bones, reconstruct the skeletal structure, and piece together this skeleton story.
What we'll see here is just the mandible or the jawbone of the person that was found in this season. Now, the mandible is, or the lower jaw, is a bone that gives you a whole lot of information. In terms of the angle of the mandible, it's a very muscular angle, and the way the chin is built, it's very square, it's a very square chin, so this is probably a male individual.
With the Knights Templars' loss at the Battle of Jacob's Ford in 1179, the tide of the Crusades begins to turn. As the Templars begin to retreat, Saladin and his men build momentum, marching on in their quest to reclaim the holy city of Jerusalem and end the Crusader presence in the Holy Land once and for all. With the Knights Templars' stunning defeat at the Battle of Jacob's Ford in 1179, the Templars' domination over the Holy Land is in jeopardy. The Muslim armies of Saladin are now a serious threat to their operations. In the following decade, Saladin initiates a series of campaigns, closing the gap between Jacob's Ford and his final conquest, Jerusalem.
Now this moment, the defeat of the forces of Jerusalem and the reconquest of the Holy City, shocked Western Europe in a way that really was unparalleled in the Middle Ages. It's said that the then Pope, Urban III, died of a heart attack when he heard the news. This moment, the loss of Jerusalem, would galvanize crusading and the Templar Order for another 100 years or more.
The retreat is officially underway. Through the 13th century, Templar and Crusader strongholds in the Holy Land continue to slip away one by one. Muslim forces drive the Templars further and further west, finally pushed into the sea in 1291 at the Battle of Acre.
I think if we're going to talk about how and why the Templars ultimately come to an end, a critical date has to be 1291, the year in which the city of Acre fell to the Muslims. This moment was critical for the Templars, I think, because it caused the collapse of the Crusader states. It was the final moment, really, of the Crusader states' history.
At the Battle of Acre, or in Arabic, Akko, many Templars are killed, but somehow an armada of Templar ships manages to escape.
This was the last fortress of Akko in the last battle in 1291. In those few days, the Templars tried to hold Akko, but didn't succeed. And after 3 or 4 days of sieging on this fortress, they are run away from the fortress. Few of them succeeded to go up to their ship and run away to Europe. Most of them been killed in the battle, and by that we finish the Crusader period in the Holy Land.
Dr. Eliezer Stern is with the Israel Antiquities Authority. He has investigated the old city of Akko, a United Nations heritage site, for years. In 1994, he was part of the investigative team that discovered a network of secret Templar tunnels running beneath the city, a possible escape route.
Only the Templars know about this secret pathway. They use it as their own private, and that means that it could be escape route, and that's what happened, I believe, in their last days of the siege of Akko in 1291. Okay, while we are crossing this tunnel, we can start imagine what are the feeling of those last Templars that ran away from the fortress to their ship and running to Akko.
With the loss at Akko, the Templar military presence in the Holy Land is finished. But their defeat would carry into Western Europe, where the Templar treasuries and preceptories had accumulated an incredible fortune. The once humble Knights of Christ now own large tracts of land. They are also owed debts by the monarchs of Europe. They are bigger than anyone imagines. Some believe they have gone too far.
Suddenly you find an order that doesn't have a Holy Land to protect as such, still has that wealth, still has that opportunity to develop its own authority in Western Europe. And we can start to see that maybe the secular rulers are going to ask some questions about what the Templars are still doing in the West.
But the Templars' new Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, continues to fight for the Order's survival. It's a losing battle, and the costliest mistake de Molay would ever make. De Molay's defiance is one man's legacy that lives on 8 centuries later. Indianapolis, Indiana. 700 years after the downfall of the Templars, a group called the Levant Preceptory still meets. These modern-day Freemasons don the weapons and vestments of their medieval cousins, aspiring to the virtues of the Templar Order.
The Masonic Templar Order really takes the chivalric ideas of faith and loyalty and charity and truth and honor and really uses them as a character-building lesson.
You know, it's easy to look at a bunch of guys who are dressing up on a day-to-day basis in chainmail and helmets and say that maybe they're a bit off their rocker, but the truth of the matter is that it's a group of guys getting together trying to find the roots of what makes a man a good man.
I would say spiritually I have a connection, I think, to what they may have stood for in defending pilgrims on their way to worship in the Holy Lands. And I feel that if I could only mirror their virtues in my modern day life, I may be able to help perpetuate the memory of the Knights Templars.
The Masonic Preceptory honors the Templars' virtues. They remember the downfall as well. A swift decline in the early 14th century at the hands of King Philip IV of France and the new Pope, Clement V.
In October 1307, the King of France, Philip the Fair, Philip IV, launched an attack on the Templar Order. He issued a communique ordering that the Templars in Paris be arrested, accusing them of a number of atrocities, of heretical activities, the denial of Christ, the spitting on the crucifix.
On the 700th anniversary of the arrests, the Levant Preceptory marks the occasion with a solemn memorial ceremony dedicated to their knight comrades from another era.
What you're going to see in the ceremony is a reenactment of one commandery and the conspiracy between King Philip and Pope Clement to suppress the order.
An emergency dispatch from France informs me that King Philip and Pope Clement have conspired to suppress our order. Our Grand Master Jacques de Molay and many of our companions have been arrested, imprisoned, and charged with heresy and other heinous crimes.
What will become of the Grand Master and our companions? The seriousness of these charges lead me to fear for their lives and for that of mine.
We must find a safe haven of refuge. I'm going to Scotland immediately. And I shall go to Portugal. I will not be delivered into the hands of Philip.
I declare this conclave of Levant Preceptory closed. Sir Knights, you are dismissed.
In the short time they have left, the Templars and their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, fall victim to a witch hunt, arrested and persecuted throughout Europe. At Lincoln Castle in England, evidence remains of a mass Templar imprisonment.
This is Lincoln Castle. In the year 1310, 3 of the Knights Templar were held here as prisoner. So the prisoners would have been chained into here. So these are the old places where the chains would have been mounted. After the Templars had been here a few days, the chains were released, so they were enabled to move freely in the building and also in the castle grounds. And because they could move freely, they then were in a position to carry out graffiti. A Templar cross, so we have the cross there, and at the bottom of the cross we have 3 steps to heaven, so there are steps carved there, which was a Templar signature. And here we have a Templar in his day coat, a surcoat with a cap, a particular type of cap, which is shown in this drawing here. So this is a picture of the uniform that they would have been wearing with the Templar cross at the back. So this again is 14th century graffiti.
But nothing compares to the situation the Templars face in France. There, a furious King Philip IV fights to have the Templars dissolved. He succeeds in convincing the Pope to go along with his plan of trials, forced confessions, and executions.
They were very skillful, clearly, in breaking the wills of these Templars that they interviewed. In some cases, mental torture was used, denial of sleep, isolation, feeding individuals with just bread and water for weeks on end.
Anybody would confess to anything under those kinds of horrific circumstances. So I think that the suppression of the order was probably a politically motivated event that was unfounded, especially in the charges that were leveled against him.
Major question marks have to be asked, I think, about whether these confessions were authentic.
Under pressure from King Philip, Pope Clement V officially disbands the Templars in 1312. The final chapter comes 2 years later in 1314, as Grand Master Jacques de Molay recants previous confessions and declares the innocence of the Templars for the world to hear.
In 1314, James de Molay was burnt for his crimes, and he went to his death avowing that he had been innocent of all crimes, and that so too the Templar order was innocent.
The legend goes that as the flames licked up around him, that he called on both Philip IV and Pope Clement to join him within the year, and in fact both men did die within a year.
For centuries, the Templar legacy is shrouded in shame, enemies of the Church. But now, manuscripts recovered from the Vatican's secret archives are confirming what many investigators believed. Barbara Fraley is a researcher at the Vatican. Her discovery of a shocking document called the Chinon Parchment sheds new light on the final days of the Templar Order.
La pergamena di Chinon è un documento originale il quale contiene un interrogatorio svolto da 3 cardinali a nome del Papa sui capi dell'ordine templare, cioè l'ultimo Gran Maestro Jacques de Molay ed altri principali dignitari dell'ordine che erano stati rinchiusi con lui nel fortilizio reale di Chinon.
The document reveals that the Pope does not believe King Philip's charges of heresy against the Templars, and sends his own investigators to uncover the truth.
All'interno di questo interrogatorio i Templari confessano alcune colpe, ma vengono riconosciuti non colpevoli per il crimine di eresia, e ne abbiamo la prova per il fatto che i 3 cardinali li assolvono come fosse una assoluzione sacramentale e danno loro la possibilità di accedere di nuovo ai sacramenti, cosa impossibile per un eretico. Noi sappiamo che Jacques de Molay, durante il processo e la prigionia, aveva un cappellano che ogni giorno si recava nella sua cella e gli dava la possibilità di ascoltare la messa e di ricevere i sacramenti. Questo dimostra che il Papa era certo che Molay non era eretico.
But their innocence would never be revealed, and Templar history as we know it comes to an end. Now, 700 years later, investigators go underground from England to the island of Malta, exploring myth and legend for clues to a lost Templar timeline. With the execution of Jacques de Molay in 1314, the official Templar timeline comes to an end. But it's the legends beyond that fascinate us even today. Throughout Europe, clues emerge, telling tales of the Templars who may have lived on. Just north of London, in the town of Royston, England, evidence exists that the Templar organization continued underground.
Some people believe that Royston Cave represents one of the last remnants, vestiges of Templarism in the UK, and that the Knights Templars, after they were disbanded, met here in secret beneath this very street.
These eerie chalk carvings on the wall are discovered here in the 1700s. Haunting symbols of the Templar order are everywhere.
This cave, as you'll see, is quite round, and that's very similar to other Templar churches, and also, of course, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Many people identify the roundness of the churches with the Templars. Here, for example, some people believe that this is Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Templars, who was burnt at the stake for heresy. Over here, we have a number of symbols which have been identified as similar to symbols seen in Templar prisons in France. You can see for example, the hands in hearts and the double hearts symbols. Moving round here, there are 2 figures next to each other, which some people have interpreted as the figure that represented the Templars, where they had 2 knights riding the same horse. So, you know, there are lots of stories about Royston Cave, there's lots of theories, and they do range across the whole gamut of things, including the Dan Brown theories, which we've got here as well. But the truth is that we can't confirm anything, which makes it all the more interesting. It's a mystery, and you know, we encourage people to visit and make up their own minds about what they feel Royston Cave is all about.
With the dissolution of the Templars in 1312, their massive land holdings and wealth are divided up. The lion's share is handed over to a rival military order, the Knights Hospitallers, also known as the Knights of St. John. They eventually settle on the island of Malta. Today, investigators uncover reminders of the Knights' legacy here. Not far from the historic Grand Master's Palace in the city of Valletta, a network of tunnels from different eras run beneath the city. Some are even from the Knights era.
When you have a defended city like Valletta, and being an engineered city, it would follow to reason that they needed to go from one block to another block. So it would follow that these buildings would have been connected, that they would have underground passages leading to the bastions, the counterparts, the attack positions.
For the first time, investigator Jean-Paul Mifsud is attempting to map the massive underground city of Valletta.
And this is where then the history of the tunnels in Valletta starts to get a bit confusing, because although there are a lot of stories about these Knights tunnels, what is for sure is that during the Second World War, the British and Maltese actually used to hew out of rock wartime shelters. Here we get into the rooms that were used as the wartime shelters. A part of the Knights tunnels were then used to link a wartime shelter defense system. We're around 5 stories, 4 stories down.
It is a city beneath a city, with drainage systems and cisterns from different eras, fueling the ongoing legend that the Knights did indeed develop and use a network of secret tunnels running beneath the city. At his lab, Mifsud records the positions of the various passageways, hoping to create an interactive record of the underground city of Valletta.
What we're doing is we are creating the above ground of Valletta, but more importantly also the underground. With this project, we are going to make accessible parts of Valletta which were never accessible to anybody, and which for some people will never be accessible. Also, since we are going back in time, we call this like a time machine, we can bring out parts of Valletta which no longer exist because of the war, because of progress, and people can actually experience them by walking through. With tunnels you have a lot of legends, so the trick is always to try and see where this legend could have possibly come from.
More than 7 centuries later, the Templar legacy offers a unique view into the past, and also a chance to assess our own world.
When we walk here, we walk one of the lowest points in the history of relations between very extremist Christians, the Templars, and Islam in the end of the 12th century. The Crusades that became iconic, became symbolic to the struggle between clash of cultures, if you like. That's what we are doing now. Actually excavating people killing each other, I mean, in the cruelest possible means.
I think it's quite easy to draw parallels between the Crusades and modern times. If we look at the world today, there is an enormous tension between Islam and the West, as there was then. We are in what I would consider the new Crusades.
Much of the Templar secret history may never be known. What we can discover today is divined from fragments of parchments and scratching in walls from Israel to England. But the work of Ronnie Ellenblum and his team at Jacob's Ford is a unique opportunity to discover something new about the old order of knights. This is the place where the Templars' fate took a turn for the worse, where the conspiracy theories and legends of today were born. When Saladin's offers of peace were rejected, the slow wheels of history began grinding out the Templars' tale. Exile from the Holy Land, persecuted for rising too high, too fast, rounded up, tortured, executed, cast from the heights of wealth and power to the dark corners of history.